Okay, so hi everybody and welcome to this year's editions of the Science Pop Up Expo. We're of course doing it digitally this time around because of, well, obvious reasons. Everybody knows this. We're very much looking forward to hearing everybody. First of all, I'd like to remind you all, it would be really nice if you could turn your cameras on. Keep it muted, but turn the cameras on so that we can see each other and also maybe recognize each other from other events that we have attended together. My name is Carolina and I'm representing Norrköping Science Park today because this is a cooperation between Norrköping and Linköping Science Park and LiU PhD. So the next couple of hours we have an amazing opportunity to create connection and building bridges between the companies of our region and the university. So this is why we're doing this. We're trying to create a little bit of knowledge of some of the amazing research that is taking place at LiU University at the moment, both in Linköping and Norrköping. And also you companies get a chance to get some insights into some cutting edge science that's being performed that might be really useful for you guys. So we're going to start with some pitching. Every participant will have about 3 minutes of pitching. And then after that, we will have the second part, which starts around 2 o'clock, which is one-on-one meetings. And for this, you have received a link that you can go in. It's a Google Doc, so you just go in while you've listened to the pitch, this person I want to talk to, you go in and you pick a time slot. We also share this in the chat in case you have lost the email or don't have it at the moment. Anna will make sure that you can find that. If you have any questions, please feel free to use the chat as well, as we will have that one man for the entire experience. And actually, when we're on the subject, I'd like to introduce my co-host in this, Anna Bådas from Linköping.
Thank you very much. And hi, everybody. Really nice to see you, even if it's digital this time. I really look forward to today's event. And like Carolina said, building bridges between the university and the companies. And I think in my day-to-day work, I work a lot with talent attraction. And I think that we really, in this event, it's a great opportunity for companies to meet top talents that are doing research at the university, but also vice versa for the PhD students to meet really exciting companies. Like Carolina said, I will be the one hosting the chat. So if there are any questions, please feel free to write them there. And I will also be the one who handling the breakout rooms in the second part of this event. Also, we are live on YouTube. So there we also have participants that we hope will enjoy this event.
Wonderful, Anna, thank you. And I'm sure a few of you know Anna from before. We also have another collaborator in this great event, and it's LiU PhD. And it's actually going to be our representative who is the first pitcher today. But Alexandra, maybe you want to just do a really short presentation on LiU PhD and why you've decided to participate in this event.
I think I would relay that rather to Viktor, since he's actually an active member of LiU PhD. I'm just affiliated with them. So I think Viktor is a better person to do this.
Well, you've been the one helping us out because Viktor has probably been preparing his pitch instead for this event, I'm sure. Viktor, Do you want to do just the short presentation?
Sure, I can quickly say a few words. I'm right now the treasurer of LiU PhD, which is an organization that kind of is supposed to represent the PhD students of LiU. And of course, I think for the PhD students, as you said, like the local talents, it's very important to get in touch with companies. And I think that's what this event is all about. And I mean, generally, I think it's just super important that we give PhD students the best opportunities in life. So yeah, I'm very much also looking forward to this because it's so important to also go beyond university and the boundaries of science. So yeah, really happy to be here.
We're incredibly happy to have you, all of you here, and we will soon get into the pitching part. So let's just go over again because there's a couple of new people. just the format. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have short pitches of all the PhDs that are participating, 3-minute pitches. So there will be no time for questions here, but you will have plenty of time for that in the latter part of this event, which is the one-on-one meetings. And to book the one-on-one meetings, you go through the link that Anna posted in the chat, and you just sign your name on the student or the PhD that you want to participate with and have a meeting with. We have 4 slots, so unfortunately you won't be able to talk to everybody today, but we're going to make sure that everyone gets contact information. So in case you don't have the time, you can always pick it up afterwards. But with no further ado, I'd like to hand the stage over to our first pitcher of the day. So Alexander, are you ready to take it away?
Yes, absolutely. So also a welcome from my side. And I would like to start this with a question, which is, what do space tech, food tech, and deep tech have in common? No worries, I will answer it. Obviously, they all have tech in the name, but what else? Well, once they are marked by thousands of startups in that area, in those areas, they are marked by large investments and by radical innovations. And here I especially want to emphasize the aspect of radicality, because their innovations are so radical that most of the startups don't even know if they have a market once the product or service is finished. What does it mean? Well, many companies that actually deal with such bleeding edge technologies have and will fail, partially because it is so extremely R&D intense and takes multiple years to develop, and partially because once they're ready for market introduction, there is no market. So how can this be avoided? Well, product and market development needs to go hand in hand. Nothing new. But to develop a market needs to exist. And with these kind of technologies, these radical innovations, markets essentially need to be created. And this might take as long as the product development itself, especially in those fields. So what do? My name is Alexander Fleig, and I investigate precisely that. First, from a top-down view, how are these markets for bleeding edge technologies created? And from a bottom-up view, how can companies actually create these markets? So if you're interested in hearing more about bleeding edge technologies or market strategies, feel free to contact me and let's create a market together. Thank you.
Thank you so much. What an excellent way to start this off, because I think obviously that's something that a lot of people here are interested in hearing more about. So make sure that you take this chance to book a meeting with Alexander coming up. We're going to move on straight away to our next presenter, our next pitcher of the day. Srijan, are you ready there in the Caribbean or wherever it is that you're participating from? You're still muted. Let's see if we can help you out.
Yeah.
There you go. Welcome.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. First, I would like to thank for giving me this opportunity. Basically, this is the first time of experience in my life to where there is a link between the companies as well as the university, where we can show the research activities to the companies. Okay, so to my introduction, I can say I myself, Dr. Srijan, a polymer chemist having the 9 years experience in my polymer chemistry field, which I gained through the different universities. Presently, I am working as a postdoctoral fellow at Meetarvin University. Prior to join here, I did my PhD from India, IIT Kharagpur, and till now I have published my 10 international journal. So what I can offer to the companies, okay? So basically, as I mentioned, I have the 9 years experience in the field of the polymer, in the polymer chemistry, and in the different fields like the synthesis of the polymer, synthesis of the polymer nanocomposite, in the 3D printing field, as well as I can do the characterization in the different polymerization technique like the SAME, NMR, IR, GPC, rheology, or other different instruments. So in the present research at LIU, I am basically working on the textile actuator. Basically, we know that today is the smart textile have gained a growing interest due to their different applications, like in the sensor field, transistor, or the storage devices or actuator. So my aim here in this work is to fabricate, optimize, or the characterize the electroactive polymer based on the advanced textile. So beside, I also worked on the super absorbent polymers. Basically, this type of super absorbent polymer used in the diaper applications or to absorb the absorbing materials. So, and beside, I also worked in the 3D printing field, as I mentioned. So basically, 3D printing is a process where the making of the three-dimensional solid object of any shape from the digital model. So I can develop different type of 3D printing of the scaffold polymer, basically the polymer scaffold, and it has a huge application like in the medical devices or the actuator systems. So and my research is important, as I mentioned, that the textile actuator will be, this type of textile actuator will be used in the exoskeleton suits, assisted devices, wearable, and the haptic garment. And this the super absorbent polymer, as I mentioned, it will be used for the absorbing materials, and the 3D printing scaffold will be used for the actuator and different medical devices. And actually, and my final aim and my final goal is to find a position when I can use the experience and the knowledge which I gained throughout the different university. And in future, I want to explore the polymer expertise to the company in the different directions. I want to continue all this field until I have mentioned, like the 3D printed field, textile actuator, or the super absorbent polymers to for the companies. And in the long term, I see myself working and expanding my experience in these areas. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There's a lot to take from that one, and I hope that we can help you make some of those connections that you're really eager to make, Srijan. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Make sure that you remember that you can book meetings already. The link is already open. We're going to move over to someone we have already heard a little bit from, because next up on the pitching schedule today, we have Viktor from LIU.
I will quickly share my screen because I think I have one slide I wanted to show, just because it makes it easier. So this is the slide I wanted to show because my research is about innovation management. And I think what is the most important message I want to convey is really, it is an uneven competition. Because on the one hand side, we have the Arnold Schwarzenegger-like strong regime of the existing technologies that we have in our world today. And there are kind of these new niche technologies, all these new smart technologies that we want to bring about and that we want to make successful. But the big problem is that the existing systems are so strong. And in my research, I look at how can we make the transition from the existing systems, in my case, especially the existing automotive system with combustion engines. How can we now move to electrified vehicles with new engines? And kind of in my research, we have funding from the Swedish Energy Agency, because what they want to understand is how can Sweden stay successful in the heavy vehicle industry. I mean, right now, every fourth truck that is in Europe on the roads is from Sweden. So they, of course, want to keep this going. And I mean, the questions that then come up and what we're trying to explore in our research, and I'm looking for generally anyone who has ideas about how can we electrify vehicles in Sweden. And the questions will be, what new business models can we actually find? Also, how do we need to manage potential risks that could be there? Then also, what will happen to our local infrastructure? What do we need to adjust? I mean, also in terms of smart vehicles and smart grids. And then, of course, for the Energy Agency, the most important question is, what policy incentives does Sweden need and what kind of regulatory changes are needed? And I think these are all things that I'm interested in. So I just love to meet you and talk about electrification in Sweden, which is, like, of course, a huge challenge and, of course, an exciting opportunity. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, it is. It is a challenge and it is a huge opportunity. And we do have a lot of companies in this region that work with these sort of questions. So we hope we can make some connections for you. It's time for us to move over to our next presenter, and we're going to delve into some innovation, I think. Benny, are you ready to introduce yourself and do your little pitch?
Yes, thank you. Hello, my name is Benny Borghi, PhD graduate from Linköping University, and I like building things, from building networks and relationships to building new startups and business processes. I was one of the co-founders of LEO PhD, the student union dedicated to all PhD students across all departments at Linköping University, which you also had a nice presentation about today. I've also helped several startup companies construct their business models, figure out their revenue streams, and write down their business plans and present them in a professional way. I have studied at Chalmers, Linköping University, and Handelshögskolan, the School of Business in Gothenburg. And I have written several papers and 2 dissertation books on innovation systems and sustainability transitions during my doctoral studies at Linköping University. Upon PhD graduation in 2018, I decided to move back to industry to see the results of my research more closely in the society. A major part of my doctoral research was about organizational processes related to knowledge integration in large established firms. And an important aspect of knowledge integration, of course, is when large established firms collaborate with startup companies. There are many great potentials for collaborations between small and large firms, but there are also many challenges along the way for both sides. I have worked with many startup initiatives in various industry branches, from IT, ICT to nanomaterials, digital healthcare services, as well as food industry, for instance. And throughout the years, I could see similar patterns and problems appear over and over when it comes to collaborations between small and large firms in various situations. But there are also ways to avoid those problems and patterns if we pay more attention to this emerging field of organizational operation and learn from previous experiences. So I will be very happy to share my experience in this field, and you are mostly welcome to contact me for more detailed discussions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Benny. We are moving forward quite quickly in the program, but I'd like to remind you again that we have the schedule up for you guys to sign in. Make sure that the company representative write your name and your company in the dotted line there so that we know who wants to talk to who. We are going to use this to try to put you in breakout rooms afterwards. But we will, of course, make sure that we figure this out for everybody so that you get a chance to talk to everybody that you want to. We have another speaker coming up, another presenter. And when you don't have your camera on, could you turn your camera on for us as well so we can see you? And there she is, just unmute. Hello, now we can see you. Welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jiwon Hu. And today I want to show some research in my during my PhD period. As we know, the environment pollutants release more and more because of now so many industry involvement. And my research during my PhD period is focused on the fast detection of the pollutants. For example, the metal ions, the organic dyes, or some water samples quality, in like pH or some, and so on. Yeah, and during these years, I worked with my supervisor in Tongji University, and we developed one fancy method that can sense multiple analytes in the environment. In this equipment, that equipment is we developed. So we use the CI color model and detect more than 40 kinds of pollutants in the environment. And the time, it just can take 5 to 10 minutes. So I come here and to see if we can have some chance to collaborate with some market and to make this equipment more functional, and to check if it can be work in the future market in Europe. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. It's always a delight to hear. We have so many different fields here and so many different cutting edge scientists that want to participate. It's really exciting to be a part of all this. We are going to move on. We unfortunately had one PhD who called us this morning and was unwell and couldn't participate, and that was Srijan. He was supposed to be on the schedule now, working with wearables and different kind of electronically sensors, those kind of things connected to fabric. And if anyone is eager to get in contact with him, you can of course do that anyway by contacting us, because he's very happy to hear from you outside of this meeting, even if he could not unfortunately participate here. So just let us know and we'll make sure that we connect you as well. But now it's time to listen to our next PhD, and that is Isak. Are you ready to talk a little bit about what it is that you do?
Yes, can you hear me? Yes, right. So I'm Isaac Johansson Åke, and protein-protein interactions facilitate the major functions in our bodies and all the cells. They control the interaction complexes, control everything from DNA transcription to antibody binding to cell life cycle regulation. And knowing the structural details of an interaction complex between proteins enables us, like on an atomic level, which atoms interact with which, allows us in the first step to see how we can either disturb or affect these interactions. For instance, if we're going to go further with drug development or the like. And now, peptide protein complexes is a special subcategory, which is particularly interesting. It's where we have a smaller, flexible or disordered fragment of a protein binding to a larger, well-structured protein receptor. And these are 15 to 40% of all the protein-protein interactions in the body, but they are very difficult to determine the structure of experimentally through the wet lab. So computational methods for determining these structures are needed as support. And that's what I do in my PhD thesis. I engineer and apply different tools and methods for aiding the structural biologists to try to solve these structures so that they can get some model out of it that confirms the structural details. What I've done, among other things, is that I've made a method which scours the protein data bank for other similar interaction complexes, the one you're currently investigating, using a random forest regression, a machine learning method, to try and judge which interactions in the protein data bank could be used as good templates for the one you're investigating now. And if that fails, I have a method where you generate hundreds of thousands of potential models of interaction and binding. And then I've trained and applied a graph convolution neural network to try to judge all these different models of interaction and see which ones is the most realistic ones. So you can get a good judge of the models. And that's mostly what I'm doing right now, using different kinds of graph convolution neural networks to assess different protein complexes. And these methods, together with the wet lab science, have worked before to determine the structure of these complexes in a paper called Multiple Direct Interactions of TBP with the MYC oncoprotein. That was quick. We investigated the interaction between the transcription factor TBP with a protein called MYC, which is a long, super disordered protein, impossible to structurally determine. And with my methods, together with the experimental details from the people working in the wet lab, we've been able to suggest and confirm a detailed atomic description of the interaction complex. So it's nice research that's progressing quickly. And if anyone wants to talk to me, someone who knows about structural biology and a lot of machine learning in later days, I'd be happy to talk with people.
Thank you. Very, very exciting. There's so many exciting topics here. I'd just like to point out as well that we do have a short presentation of all the different PhD participating on the webpage, on Linköping Science Park webpage. So in case you're listening here now and you're thinking that, oh, I have a colleague or I have someone who might be interested in this, you can always direct them to the webpage to get a little bit more information. And that way we make sure that they meet up, even if you haven't been able to participate here today. Because what we're trying to do here is build bridges. So we need to help each other out to make these connections for each other. We are going through the schedule quickly. As far as we're concerned, it's good because that means that you have more time to talk to each other. And that's exactly what we want. We have a couple of more presenters before we're going to take a short break. And after that, we want to open up the table for some of the company representatives to present themselves as well, if they want, after that, before the meetings take place. But before we do that, I think we should move on to Arvind, if you're ready to do a little bit of pitching for us.
Yes, I can do that. But before I do that, let me just quickly share my screen because I think it'll be easier if I do it that way. Just one moment. Yes, I hope you can see the screen and myself. So if I move myself here, yes, there we go. Hello, everybody. I'm Arvind, and I am a PhD student at LEU, and I work with electric vehicles. Of course, it is of common knowledge that the automotive industry has been grown considerably over the last century. And as a consequence, due to the employment of diesel engines and petrol vehicles, we have large greenhouse gas emissions. And as a result, the global average temperature has also increased. One way to mitigate this is, of course, by using alternative forms of fuel for transportation. And one way of achieving this is electric vehicles. Over the recent decade, electric vehicles have gained quite a bit of popularity. However, one major concern is that we do not, there's something called as range anxiety. It's that it takes too long to charge, and then what happens if you run out of charge in the middle of nowhere? The reason for this, why this happens, is because traditional powertrains of electric vehicles have a battery pack, as shown in the figure there, and a power conversion, and then a motor control. What we try to do is because one of the weakest cell in the battery pack there would actually limit the entire energy utilization of the pack. So what we propose is that we have a new solution where we try to decentralize the power conversion and then get a much more higher cell level control. As a result, we believe that we can extend the range of the battery pack, also the range of the electric vehicle, also improve its lifetime, and perhaps also better provide a much better torque response than what is currently existing in the market scenario. And this research project that I'm working with is in collaboration with Leo, Chalmers, Scania, and SEM. And that's it from me. And hopefully we can get to talk more about this in the breakout rooms. And thank you all for listening.
Thank you very much. Incredibly interesting topics today. I'm mind blown. It's going to be difficult to see which one you should start with talking to. There's a lot of things here that is new for me, and it is very short pitches. So I'd like to remind you again that we do have this information on the website. So in case you can't remember who's who, take that chance to check it out to make sure that you don't miss out on the opportunity to talk to relevant people here today. We have one more presenter for who's ready. Yes, I can see you now, Azim. So we are going to give the stage over to you to tell us a little bit about your research before we finish off this part, take a break, and then move on to the meetings. So Azim, take it away.
Thank you very much. I am Azim, and I'm a PhD student at Linköping University and working with Software Center. A Software Center is an umbrella where many companies are partnered, like Saab, Ericsson, Access Communications, Scania, and Grundfos and Siemens. So I'm working to improve continuous integration and delivery. Most of the companies wants to deliver frequently to the customer. They want to make changes in the code or a hardware, and then they want to build it, they want to test it, and they want to deliver it on a monthly basis or weekly basis or as much as possible. So I'm working on improving continuous integration pipeline in the IT companies. And when I say improving, it's mean that we work with automated testing. How can we provide faster feedback to developers? So suppose developer change something, he does not need to wait 5, 6, 4 hours to get the result of his changes. He might need a feedback in 15 minutes. So we work with automated testing, which is test case selection, test case minimization, test case prioritization. How can you work in a more systematic and efficient way that a developer can get a faster feedback? And we also work with flaky test. If we have IT companies, they might have this test. For example, everything is fine today, went home. When you come tomorrow, some test cases are failing and you don't know what's happening. Everything was fine yesterday. So these types of tests that changes their outcome called flaky test. We work with it. We have developed some tools using machine learning algorithm, multi-factor approach. They are open source. So because flaky tests affect your final product. You don't know which was the right answer yesterday or today. That's what we are working, and we are also working with testing AI system. Many people are moving towards AI, and AI systems are a bit different than the traditional system. So the traditional testing techniques or traditional software engineering practices might not be applicable to AI system. So we are going towards that. How can you test AI system, or how can you use AI for testing? So the topic is it's interesting. AI for testing or testing for AI. That's one more working. When I say improving continuous integration, we are working with data visualization in continuous integration, because there are many teams, many software teams, they are working together, they're producing so much data, and we are working to visualize that data to avoid bottleneck. So you can trace, it's about traceability. Who submitted what, who created what, who deleted what is the confidence level in a software? Can we release it to customer? What happened last night? So all these traceability issue through visualization, and we are using virtual reality in this case. So improving continuous integration delivery, automated testing, and data visualization. That's all, Caroline, thank you.
That's all, that's a lot. Thank you very much. Incredibly exciting. We are moving along very quickly here, and now we've actually managed to go through the pitching, a lot of different subjects, a lot of interest already. Because we have moved this on so quickly, I think we should not waste any time moving on to the one-on-one meetings, because everyone's time is valuable. But before we do that, we might take a little bit of a break, just a short break, to make sure that you can get a new cup of coffee or go to the bathroom or whatever you need to do. Anna, did you want to point something out?
Yes, I thought maybe if the company representative, just have a short presentation if you want as well. I know that Magnus Sundstedt from LEAD would like to have a minute to talk more about LEAD. And also if the other company represents also would like just to present themselves shortly, that would be nice. Yeah, I think we start with Magnus, and then can the others feel free to join in.
Yes, thanks a lot, and thanks a lot for all the presentations. I represent LEAD, and LEAD is a business incubator. We are located in Meetarvin, and I hope most of you know about LEAD already, and that we help startup companies to accelerate their innovation journey. But we do also work in very close cooperation with LEO Innovation, and supporting also very early ideas, especially from Linköping University. And this means that there do not have to be a company registered to get our support. So I work as a business coach, and are coaching some of you already in this innovation journey, and would of course like to coach more of you or your colleagues perhaps. So if you have, well, think thoughts about building a company and upon your idea and on your research, then I'm happy to help you. I have booked some meeting in this forum, but I would love to talk to more, of course. So I think that's pretty much the short version. And if you need more information or are curious, then you can always contact me directly, of course.
Wonderful. Thank you, Magnus. And like you said, some might have been in contact with the Business Incubator Lead before. For some of you, it's the first time. Do check it out. It's a very good way to make that try for getting your idea to fly, even if you're not sure where it's going to take you yet. It's never too soon to get in contact with you guys. Isn't that right, Magnus?
Exactly.
Is there any other company representatives that want to take this opportunity to just introduce yourself in a couple of words or a couple of sentences? You are, of course, free to do that after the break as well if you want. Eric, you unmuted. Are you interested, Eric?
Of course, I can take my part. So shortly, my name is Eric and I come from Toyota. Our company is located a little bit south of Linköping in Mjölby, where we are producing material handling products, but we also develop them in Mjölby. We also have our European headquarters. Our Toyota Material Handling Group is the biggest group in the world for material handling. So we have big business in Asia and US as well. The last couple of years, we're focusing more and more in development and innovation. So we have more structure and more people and more teams looking for innovation. And therefore, I'm here today and I'm working from the procurement function and looking for great ideas and to collaborate on. So happy to hear all your presentations today.
Thank you very much, Eric. And you have a couple of meetings booked, I think. Do we have anyone else who wants to take this opportunity to introduce yourself?
I can go ahead.
Yes.
Per-Olof Marklund from Saab. It's very interesting to hear all the presentations. I myself was a PhD student at LiU many years ago now. This network wasn't available then. I work as director and head of innovation and technology at Saab Aeronautics here in Linköping. And like you said it there, I booked a number of meetings afterwards, and I'm very interesting to hear what these talents have to offer us. Thank you.
Thank you, Per-Olof. I like that we have this opportunity to introduce ourselves as well, because it kind of makes it easier to straight jump into it once you get into the meetings. Do we have anyone else who wants to take this opportunity? See if we have anyone give the hands up. No, not yet.
Karen, can I make a comment? I think Mark Lund wanted to meet me, but 14:20, and unfortunately I have to leave for another meeting at 14:10, 14:15. So maybe Marklund, if we can meet, if I can switch it with Alexander, if he's available, and I can take a meeting at 14:05.
We'll work something out.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we can get in contact afterwards.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I think we make sure that we can try to do as much as we can here, and if it's not possible, we'll certainly make sure that you guys get the contact information. I'm sure everyone's happy connecting on LinkedIn and things like that as well once you participated here, so we don't lose each other. But let's take a 10-minute break, and if there's anyone who has like these kind of issues here now, see if we can change the schedule around. If we need to do that, just hang on, and the rest of you can go and get your coffee, and we'll start again in 9 minutes. So the first slot is 13:50. So make sure that everyone is back for that. If you haven't already, then take this time to go into the Docs, Google Docs, and sign up for the one-on-one meetings. And we'll see you all back here very, very shortly. Thank you.
Thank you. Det är bra att folk bokar om, så att jag har precis gjort klart breakout rooms. Och sen, jag jobbar på här.
Men det är perfekt.
Jag inser att jag kom in precis när allting var klart.
Förlåt, Anna.
Det är lite pinsamt.
Det går så bra så, Lisa. Som sagt, vi går ju snart in på one-on-ones med de här. Och då skickar jag in er. Och det är lugnt, Martina. Jag kan breakout rooms och jag är kompisar nästan alltid.
Det är bra.
Ja.
Men de har ju jättebra pitchar också, Lisa, så att de kan ju alltid dra den igen. Det var korta, konkreta, om du vill inleda mötet med att fråga dem om det, eftersom du droppade in lite sent så är det säkert inga problem.
I also just would like to mention that we now stop the live stream to YouTube. And if there's anybody who's watching YouTube and are interested to meet some of the PhD, please let us know and we will connect you with each other.